Rotorua has long been a mecca for local and international tourists, but now the city is gaining a reputation as a technology hub with an increasing number of businesses and careers in the industry. Tech Week is a chance to share knowledge and showcase some of the exciting developments in the region.
There are not many places in the world where you get the opportunity to work on some of the technologies that we've got here.
Scion is a company specializing in technology development for the forestry sector. Scion's bioproduct portfolio leader, Alec Foster, says it's an exciting time for the industry.
I look after all bioplastics generation, composite materials, packaging and indigenous fibres, all sorts of technologies. So we're exploring biotechnology to genetically engineer trees to help them grow twice as fast. We're modifying microbes to capture methane and convert them into bioplastics. We do a lot of 3D printing. We do all sorts of different technologies trying to make more sustainable products, utilising lots of waste kind of compounds.
Scion is also at the forefront when it comes to offering opportunities to those interested in a career in technology or science.
There's lots of different skills that are needed in science, and I come from a kind of a varied background. I did multiple different degrees in very different areas, but they all come in very handy. It's really an analytical kind of mind to actually process different types of data. It's bringing together a lot of the IT skills and merging them with biology, because when you kind of bring the different disciplines together, it can create new and different innovative approaches. It's really about translating my imagination into reality. We imagine all kinds of cool things here, and not many places you can actually think about how can we make this real, and that's kind of amazing. That's really cool. So it's really what I enjoy.
Foster is currently developing a more eco-friendly plastic that he hopes will replace non-biodegradable plastic in everyday items.
We've started actually making natural polymers from geothermal methane. So we're taking the gas from a geothermal power station, we're feeding it into a fermenter, and these bacteria are making natural polymers which break down. So a sustainable plastic made from gases. And that's really quite cool.
Foster grew up in Rotorua and left when he was a teenager. He moved back 3 years ago to raise his family.
I actually grew up here. So I grew up probably about a mile away from where Scion is. I left New Zealand when I was a teenager, and I came back 25 years later. One of the things that attracted me to actually come back to Rotorua was at Scion itself. We're doing all sorts of different types of cutting-edge research. We've got different types of instruments, different types of technologies you just can't find anywhere else, not in such a condensed space. So we've got a great mix of scientists, we've got a great mix of different technologies, instruments that we can play with. So it's a really good kind of melting pot.
Matt Browning is another icon of the Rotorua technology community. He's recently launched a consulting company called Triple Scoop.
I studied marketing at university, which has nothing to do with technology, and I got into the company that I wanted to be in, but they didn't have any tech support for the department. So there were 8 people, but I had to go through pieces of paper, literally 2,000 pieces of paper every week, about that thick, with calculations. So we had to draw on it with pencils of all these calculations and then type them back into the computer. It would take 5 to 6 hours every week. And I said, that is crazy. I will teach myself coding to not have to do this. And so I did. I spent nights and weekends for 6 months teaching myself coding on Google to learn how to make a program that could do that job instead of me doing it every week. And so then I managed to create a program, and it got used by the whole department. That was my entry into tech, into coding.
Browning's work means he could base himself anywhere in the world, but he's chosen Rotorua for the lifestyle and the sense of community.
Yeah, so I live 1 block from the forest, which is really special. A 10-minute drive to the lakes, you know, and the lifestyle here is incredible, but I can do all this work from wherever. And it's great to live in a place like Rotorua. I love living here, I've got great friends here, it's a really easy community to live in. But to be able to do this work and do that for people all around New Zealand or all around the world is a real treat, you know, and I get to pick the lifestyle I want, and it means I can live here. So I love it.
As part of Tech Week, Browning created a contest for secondary school students to pitch an idea for an app, with him developing the winning entry.
At Launchpad was saying, well, actually, Tech Week and Youth Week have collided to be the same week, which doesn't often happen. So they said, what could we do around like a hackathon to launch products and apps for young people's ideas? Submit your app idea and I'll make one of those for free.
Browning does most of his app development through visual coding platforms and is recognized internationally in his field.
I'm listed on a site for a platform called Glide, and I was one of the first 16 experts, they call us, listed internationally. There's now 500,000 users on the platform, and there's a handful of us experts around the world. So I'm really, really fortunate to be part of that community, building apps on Glide. And then I'm doing some contract work for a company out of San Francisco, and they build exclusively on Bubble, which is another low-code, no-code platform being used by small enterprises looking to start an idea, and also used by large companies who are raising serious cash, multi-millions of dollars out of investors. A range of things, but those are the tools that I use.
Leon Thomas has always been fascinated by art and design. He previously worked at Weta as a motion graphic artist.
I've always had an interest in it, as in I've loved it. I see movies, I see cool animations on YouTube. You see these cool things that inspire you, so you want to learn how to do it. And so my love, especially of sci-fi, obviously I started with making spaceships and flying through space and doing all that sort of stuff. And then it slowly branched out into actually doing proper work for proper companies.
Though most of Thomas's work is created digitally, he still likes to revert to pen and paper to get his creative juices flowing.
I still use a pen and paper very heavily, not necessarily to draw, but to get my brainstorming ideas out. I still love the tactile feeling of paper and pen.
Thomas's advice to anyone interested in following in his footsteps is to focus on the process and not the tools used.
If you want to talk about software learning and stuff like that, it's hard to get to say you need to learn this, you need to learn this. But what you've really got to focus on is learning process. Process is the key to it. So a piece of software is only a tool.
Although Thomas enjoyed working in Wellington, the slower pace of Rotorua is more suited to family life.
So when we were in Wellington, I was only married about a year, fell pregnant with our first child. And so for me, being a country boy, I thought I'd prefer to raise my kids in the country. So that was the decision that made us move away from Wellington. Because down there, that's the place to be if you want to work in film, especially in the graphic side of it, because Weta's the #1 animation studio on the planet. And so to be able to work with them is just incredible. But there's also long hours. You'll be working 6-day weeks, 11.5-hour, 12, 15-hour days and stuff like that, so it gets a bit tiring. So that decision to move up here was the main drive, family. The way that technology has moved and the way that information needs of companies have moved made it possible for me to use my skills to actually base myself here. You can do very cool things even though you're not in the big cities.
Tech Week was a big hit this year in Rotorua. The workshops held were popular and showed off some of the local professionals using technology in creative ways. Meade Norton, Local Focus.